Hello you guys. Today I'm sharing my review of the Caribbean Beach Resort. After my stay here in February, a lot of you guys requested a review and kind of just thoughts on the resort, any tips for the resort. So let's jump into all of that. But before I do, if you are new here, hi, my name is Ashley, and on this channel I share tips, tricks, and hacks for taking toddlers to Disney planning tips, travel tips, as well as vlogs from our adventures along the way. So if that is content that you're interested in, you'll want to click the red subscribe button and the thumbs up button if it gives you some ideas about Caribbean Beach and whether it's a good fit for you and your family. So let's jump into the review. So here at Caribbean Beach Resort, you're gonna find two different types of rooms. So you're gonna have your standard hotel room that sleeps 4 people, or you're gonna have what's called a 5th sleeper option. So that will have 2 of your queen beds, but then a little fold down kind of trundle style bed. I would not suggest planning on an adult sleeping on that bed because they're not quite big enough for that, but definitely a child is perfect for that bed. It is a little bit higher off the ground, so if you are thinking toddler, younger child, then might not be such a great fit for them, but say an elementary age kid, middle school potentially, would be perfect on that little fold down bed. It's really cute. They are Disney themed usually, so that is also really fun. But you have 2 different types of rooms here, as well as a standard room or a preferred room. So standard rooms are going to be a little bit farther away from the main building. They're going to be a little bit more of a walk to get to the quick service and the main like hub area if you're needing to go to the like check-in desk or get anything from Bell Services. It's a little bit more of a stroll over there from the Aruba section here where I am and where we stayed in February. It is about a 10-minute walk depending on your pace and how you're going, so it takes about 10 minutes to get from here to there, but definitely not bad in the grand scheme of things. There are other resorts that I've stayed at, even deluxe resorts, that you had to walk quite a while to get to your main room, and so it's kind of pros versus cons when it comes to that, but not too bad of a walk. But the one perk that you do have, say here in the Aruba section, and I'll get into kind of favorite sections and section recommendations for when you check in. This is a standard section, so it is definitely going to be a little bit less, about $20 to $50 less per night to be in the standard versus the preferred, depending on season and whatnot. But you are super close to the Riviera Skyliner stop, which will take you to Riviera, or it will take you to the main hub where you can exit your current Skyliner and hop on the Hollywood Studios line, and it'll take you directly there. Or you're about a 15-minute walk to the right direction over towards the actual hub, which you can get on a Skyliner there, and it will take you either directly to Epcot or directly to Hollywood Studios without needing to get off and back on. That is really convenient, and definitely one of the perks of staying at a resort like the Caribbean Beach Resort and being here is that way you do have that added bonus of a transportation, which again, we're going to talk about transportation in a minute, but just kind of wanting to give some highlights here at the beginning. I definitely recommend more of a standard view room here at the hotel versus the preferred. Now, if you are somebody that you want to be close to the main pool and you really want to be steps away from the quick service, preferred is going to be your way to go. But if you are not really a quick service family, you do breakfast in the room, or you just are fine with a quiet pool, or don't mind strolling over to the pool on the times that you want to take a dip in the pool, then standard is going to be your best bet, especially if you're staying here for the transportation perks. Just book the standard room. Now, when it comes to picking the right section here at the resort, my personal 2 favorites would be to recommend either the pink section, which is the Aruba section, and it is right next door to Riviera, which you can see right back there, which is really convenient because you do have the perk of being able to walk over to their quick service, which in my personal opinion is better than the Caribbean Beach quick service. It's good, but I don't know, the food, at least for me and my family and my girls even, we preferred the food over at Riviera. They have more like pizza options, and just their kids options are a little bit better. They have more like pastas and things like that. So if your kid is more of a starchy eater, then Riviera is gonna be your better bet for a pick for where to dine with your toddler. You can place a mobile order there so you can walk over. It's great, especially if you're going to be doing a breakfast at Topolino's Terrace. It makes it so convenient. You're not having to get on any buses or take minivans or anything to get over there, you can just stroll right over. And so my next section of the resort that I would suggest staying in is right here in Jamaica. This yellow section of the resort is perfectly located right between the main Skyliner hub to go to Hollywood Studios and the Epcot line that is over at the Riviera stop. So definitely two really great locations. You are right across the bridge right over here. Just take that bridge across to the main building. So if you can be in this kind of general vicinity, you're really close to the main building, the quick service, the main pool, as well as the playground in the middle of the resort. So a lot of features. I'm gonna keep showing a lot of that, trying to walk around and just kind of give you a nice tour during this kind of review video. But when it comes to staying here, this is going to be two of the better sections to pick if you are wanting to use that transportation and have more of a convenience. And it's also, when it comes to transportation, it is the last two stops for the buses. So they will stop at Jamaica and then they will stop at Aruba, and then you are off to your destination. When you're coming back, you will have a little bit longer of a ride, so you'll have to go through the first couple of stops before you get here to the Jamaica and the Aruba stop. But when you're leaving, it's great. You do end up being on potentially a more crowded bus, so standing room only, but it does make your drive a little bit less. So when you're really excited and you're ready to get to the parks, or you're rushing to get to a reservation, it can definitely be a nice little benefit there. And I will note, if you are coming back and you're staying in these two sections, you are definitely able to take the bus to Riviera and then walk over. That is what we did a lot on our February trip staying here, because it was more convenient for us to just stroll. We love walking. My friend Becca that was on the trip with me, she loves walking, so it's a little bit more of a leisurely pace instead of trying to keep your kids all corralled. They can walk, and it was such a nice relaxing way to wind down and end the night just walking back to the room. So wanted to mention that in case you are staying in one of these two sections, that is an option to take the bus to Riviera and then walk over here. Another thing to really be aware of when you are staying in the Caribbean Beach Resort is, unlike a lot of the other moderate resorts, it does not have elevators. So if you have mobility issues, you're a family with a double stroller or even a single stroller, and you just don't want to break it down and have to carry it up a flight of stairs every morning and evening and afternoon if you're coming back for naps or whatever, definitely put in a request for a ground floor room, especially even if you're someone that you need an ECV or a wheelchair. Put in that request and make that note if you absolutely can, and try to do that as early as possible. Now, I will say that it's just a request. They are not guaranteed, but that is what the cast members will even tell you. It is a request. We can't guarantee it, but we'll try our hardest to make it happen. And so it's a risky run staying here at this resort, but from people that I have heard and even had family stay here, they've had pretty good odds of getting a ground floor room. You may just have to wait a little bit longer for your room to be ready with having special requests made. All right, now let's talk about the rooms themselves, because that is where you are paying to stay. You're not paying, as lovely as the outside is and the theming is and just how gorgeous this resort is, you're not paying to sleep outside. You're paying to sleep in this room. And honestly, when it comes to the rooms, they kind of get a 4 out of 10 for me. They are very dark, they are very dated. It has very minimal Disney theming, as well as just minimal beachy theming in general. It just feels like I don't know, it feels very dated and dark and just not like the best option when it comes to theming. And like, they just didn't really put a lot of time into the beach theming here at these resorts. And so for me, when it comes to picking a room, I wouldn't choose to stay here again in these rooms for that reason. As much as I love some of the other amenities, and we'll discuss that in here in a second, but when it comes to the rooms themselves, if that is the only thing you're basing your decision off of is the room, then I don't know. It's kind of a pass for me. Ours was very dark and dated, like I said, but then it also had a lot of things that weren't even functioning. Only 2 of the outlets in our room worked, and one of them was the one under the TV. And I will try to insert some footage here, but when you plugged anything into that outlet, it ended up making the TV go fuzzy. So for my kids to watch the TV while I was doing something like getting ready or whatever, I had to unplug whatever I was charging so they could watch the TV, and then once they were finished, plug it back in so it wasn't all staticky. I don't know. It's just weird. There were lots of little things like that it's just, they're not so great. Now the room itself, it's a decent sized room, especially if you're coming from, say, a value category resort. If you're used to staying somewhere like that, it's definitely a larger room than that. I didn't find that it was just too overly cramped, but when it came to just kind of the functionality of the room, and it just wasn't as well thought out as some of the other resorts that we've stayed at. All right, so let's talk about transportation and probably the real reason you're considering staying at Caribbean Beach, and I'm guessing it's probably this right back here behind me. With the Skyliner, you do get direct access to both Epcot and Hollywood Studios, giving you a nice little bonus feature of staying here at this resort, as well as it really, even though it can get a little bit of a line, it's constantly moving, and so it seems like it moves and flows a lot faster than, say, something like the buses do, where there's only a certain capacity at the time that they can have. When we stayed here, going to the parks for early entry or even coming back after the fireworks was not a problem. We didn't have super crazy long waits. I'm sure at times of the year there can definitely be longer waits, and I've seen people wait 20, 30, potentially 40 minutes for their gondola to get here. But when it comes to different options, you'll wait that same amount of time for even a monorail after fireworks at Magic Kingdom. So the wait to me isn't a con or a bad thing. It's just part of the price you pay for using Disney transportation. Sometimes you have direct access, and then sometimes you have to wait a bit. Now, when it comes to getting to Magic Kingdom or Animal Kingdom, you will have to take the bus, and that is the one and only option unless you're driving or you want to use an Uber or minivan situation. So depending on what your budget allows, but if you're wanting to utilize Disney's free transportation, you're gonna have to stick with the buses instead, and they will take you directly there. There are multiple bus stops here though in the resort, so for you it may either be a good thing or a bad thing. If you are somebody that doesn't mind riding the buses, then it's not going to be a struggle for you. There is one in every single section of the resort, so you don't have a super far walk to get to your bus stop, and you can hop right on and you're good to go. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't enjoy the buses and you're not a Disney bus fan, then this may not be a good resort for you. When I put up a poll over on Instagram asking you guys what questions you had about staying at Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort, a lot of it was, when do I need to leave? Because I know it's such a big resort. Do I get to early entry in time staying here? What are the pros and cons of the transportation? When you are going to say Magic Kingdom, you're definitely gonna wanna leave at least 60 minutes before early entry begins, because you are gonna have to wait for a bus, and it can take a while for them to show up. And also you have your travel time within the resort, as well as your travel time once you are on the road headed to Magic Kingdom. So definitely something to factor in. That can take even 30 minutes depending on what bus stop you are at, and getting to Magic Kingdom can take a while as well. So just wanted to include that of at least 60 minutes. I would leave even earlier than that if you're in peak season. Now, when it comes to staying at a resort like Caribbean Beach Resort, the exterior is beautifully, beautifully themed. I love it. I am a beach person. We live in Tennessee, and you can go to the mountains all day long within a few hours drive, but we just don't go. We're not mountain people. We are tropical beach people. It's why we come to Disney. It's why we come to Florida. We love the warm weather. It's the vibe. But when it comes to staying at a resort and paying the extra money that you do for, say, a resort like Caribbean Beach, and having that Skyliner access and everything, it is a little tricky to kind of decide, is it worth the money to stay here? For me, if I am making the decision purely based on the room and the transportation options, it's a no for me. I don't care for the room. I think it is really dark and dungeony. It does a lot of things that don't work, at least in our room it didn't, and they just need some updating. You can tell they are very well loved. The carpet is very worn. Even a soft goods refurbishment would do so well here at this resort, but as of right now they don't have anything planned. Here over in the Trinidad section, they do have a Little Mermaid, it's not Little Mermaid, but it is a mermaid themed renovation going on in the old pirate themed rooms, but from what I'm hearing right now, it's not transferring over into the other rooms in the resort, which is kind of a bummer because that renovation is amazing and would do perfect at all of the other rooms in this resort. So that would be really, really nice. When it comes to fun amenities here at Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort, they are definitely not lacking. Their pool is absolutely gorgeous, has such a fun little tropical pirate theme, which a lot of little kids love. My girls love Pirate Mickey, and so they thought this little splash pad was the coolest place ever to hang out and play. So definitely when it comes to their amenities, they are such a win in that it has this resort, as well as the one over at French Quarter. It has the two best splash pads of the entire moderate category. Now I love myself some French Quarter. That is my favorite in the moderate category. But when it comes to splash pads, this one is also a really, really fun one. Now let's head over and let me show you the little play area as well as playground that your kids can check out while you're here. here, as well as some of the gorgeous places you can just sit and relax here. So if you head into the center of the island, there's a couple of bridges here. There's 2 bridges, not to be confused with 3 bridges over at Coronado Springs, but they have 2 bridges here leading to this island in the middle of the resort. It has a few little sandy areas with some little hammocks as well for you to check out. And then they have a fun little lawn area that we'll walk over and see in just a second, as well as a adorable little playground that my girls absolutely loved hanging out on. But here at this little lawn area, they have some chairs for being able to sit and relax. They have the faux grass, kind of the astroturf kind of thing going on here, but it is just gorgeous, and the views of the Skyliner and Riviera and everything in the distance, the rest of the resort, is just absolutely stunning. This is also where they show the movies under the stars, so each night they actually have a movie that they do a big inflatable screen and projector, and they will show a Disney movie here every single night unless weather isn't permitting. You can come here and watch a movie, and you don't have to be staying here to actually utilize that benefit. So if you're at any of the Disney resorts and you want to sit and watch the movie or enjoy, they also, all of the Disney resorts have fires at night, like campfires, so you can roast s'mores. You don't have to be staying at that actual resort to utilize those little amenities. Now when it comes to the pool and splash pad areas, those you do have to be staying at that resort to be able to utilize that amenity. That's just one of the things that they're pretty sticklers on at a lot of the resorts, is you do have to be staying there to use that. Now here is a view of the playground. It is actually empty right now, which is pretty quiet in the middle of the day. My girls were over here playing just a few minutes ago. They are getting ready to go back for nap time, but this is what it looks like. Lots of slides, things to climb on, and all kinds of activities. So definitely a fun spot and a nice bonus, because not all Disney resorts have a playground. You would think that they would, but they all don't. So this is definitely a nice bonus if you are coming here and you have young kids. This is going to be a great place to just kind of wind down, get some wiggles out if you are waiting for your room to be ready on a check-in day, or if you have a little extra time on checkout day. This is a great spot to hang out. So highly recommend checking this out if you are staying here at this resort, because it is amazing. And like I said, not all resorts have it, so you've got to take advantage of this nice little benefit. So I wanted to come over and show this gorgeous part of the island where they have all of these little beach chairs, and you can kind of wind around along the lake. It is from sunrise to sunset. You can come here and just grab a cup of coffee and relax and just watch the sunrise or the sunset, or just enjoy the views, watch the Skyliners go by. And it is so gorgeous and so tropical, and just, it fits the vibe of this resort 100%. This is one of my favorite little secluded spots to come and just relax on this resort property, and so highly recommend coming over and just strolling around. It is absolutely beautiful. But I also wanted to jump into talking about the dining options here. You have everything from quick service to table service, so you don't even have to order food to sit down and eat. You can actually order your food either to go or go through the grab and go section. They have little pastries and sandwiches that you can just grab really quickly and head out the door, and so makes it super simple if you are in a hurry for breakfast one morning, or you're just wanting to grab a quick snack before heading back to the parks after a nice little nap back in the room. That is another great option there. So when it comes to that, they have food at different locations as well. So you not only have the quick service here in the main building, but you also have a pool bar that has a menu over in the Trinidad section. So if you are in that section, which is one of the farthest away from the main building, you definitely still do have food options. So you can pop down to the pool and grab a bite to eat or a drink if you're wanting to while you're hanging out there. You don't have such a long trek. Now at the other quiet pools, it is just simply that it is a quiet pool. You do not have access to any like pool bars or anything like that, no food. The best thing you would have is a maybe vending machine in that area. There's usually like ice and vending machines in each of the building areas, so that's gonna be about your best bet, is maybe a Snickers from the vending machine. But when it comes to dining here at the main building, you have a gorgeous looking pool bar, as well as you have Centertown Market, which is their quick service here at Caribbean Beach Resort. It was definitely really good food. Not our favorite, but it does have more kind of exotic flavors. So if you're wanting something a little bit different than just regular chicken tenders and pizza or burgers, they definitely have that. They have some burgers and things here, but they do have it with a Caribbean flair. Their jerk chicken was really good, so that and the rice was a big hit with my girls when we were eating at that restaurant. But beyond that, It's not anything to write home about, but it is good food. And then another option is their table service meal. They have Sebastian's Bistro, which is here. It is a family style restaurant, so it's kind of a prefix menu. So you're going to get just the basics of what they bring out for you. It is, again, more on the exotic menu side. It is more on the Caribbean influenced side of things. So if that is food that you are interested in, the menu looks really, really good. And I can't wait to try it sometime because the restaurant looks fun and the menu looks delicious. But when it comes to that, you do have that option, but you will need a reservation. Being here at Caribbean Beach, it is a little bit easier to get a reservation there. It's not quite flying out the door at 60 days, but they do book up. So I would recommend, if you were wanting to do like a resort day and have a nice dinner there, or if you're wanting to have dinner here before heading back to a park, I would go ahead and get that scheduled sooner rather than later, so you can grab the best time for your family and the one that is most ideal. So that is a lot of food options. That is one thing that the moderates have that, say, the values don't. So if you're coming up a category to the moderates and you're used to saying value, usually there you have your quick service location as well as your pool bar, and that's it. But when you get into the moderates and then on into the deluxes, you do have the option of more dining. And so that is one benefit that you do have of staying at a resort like Caribbean Beach in the moderate category. You've got a lot more eating options, so that is really nice. And then I kind of touched on this a minute ago, but with being right next door and within walking distance to Riviera, you have even more dining options. So you can walk over and grab something at their quick service Primo Piatto, which is delicious. They have Bar Riva, which is their kind of pool bar area with a short menu as well. And it looks gorgeous, just the vibe. If you're wanting to stay and save a little bit of money, you're wanting to not spend Riviera prices, but you want to experience Riviera, this is a great resort for that and being able to head over. It's perfect, like I mentioned earlier, for being able to walk over to those Topolino's early morning character breakfasts. It's just such a relaxing walk from here to there. So definitely suggest checking that out. They have their coffee shop on the main level, so you can go over and grab a delicious cup of coffee. Dean grabbed one on his way before we came over to let the girls play. So they have so many great things. You can check out their gift shop, which has so many cute things. And you can also order Disney art from over there, which is really fun. That is on like my bucket list. I want to order a piece of Disney art for our house. Like, that would be so fun. But side note, that is over there as well if you are a Disney art person like us. But when it comes to dining, you definitely do not have a shortage of options when you were staying here at Caribbean Beach. So long story short, until these rooms get a major overhaul, or at least, like I said, a soft goods refurbishment like they're doing at some of the other resorts, Caribbean Beach is a no for me. It is beautiful. I love the amenities. The splash pad is amazing, like we talked about earlier. It has such amazing views, and the vibe of the resort is gorgeous. I mean, just look at this. Like, while I'm walking around and filming this video, I'm just like, oh, it's so beautiful. And I've watched other people's vlogs that have stayed here and thought, oh my gosh, that is like a dream resort. I can't wait to stay there. But for me, the rooms just don't do it. But if you are someone who is wanting Skyliner access, you're wanting a traditional, just standard hotel room, you're not looking at something like Riviera, and you're wanting something more in the budget-friendly category, I would stay at Pop Century. That is one of our favorite value resorts there in All-Star Movies, which is where I'm actually currently staying on this trip. But Pop Century is our other favorite for these two reasons. You won now, not when we stayed there previously, but now you have access to the Skyliner, and as well as you only have one bus stop. So you're not having to stop at multiple places throughout the resort. You're not sharing it with another resort, and it's just so much more convenient, as well as their rooms have been renovated pretty recently, and they are a very, very nicely organized, nicely laid out room. They're very similar to the room that we're staying in over at All-Star Movies right now, and it is so well thought out and so well organized. And even though it is less square footage than the rooms here at Caribbean Beach, our family of 4 is being able to fit in that room so much more beautifully than we did here at this resort. And just, it's so much nicer, you guys. The little kitchen, it's not kitchen, but it's a little beverage cooler, and that little station that you have for having your drinks and your snacks and your coffee maker, all of the deep and nice drawer storage for all of your things, the bed being up off the floor, you'd be able to kind of tuck your suitcases away when you're not using them. So many perks of those rooms. So definitely, if I wasn't staying here, definitely check that one out, and I would suggest looking into that resort. Art of Animation is another great option, but we do not care for their Little Mermaid rooms. So if you are a family that is looking at that, you'll save a bit of money potentially saving at Pop Century versus Art of Animation. Now, if you are needing a family suite, Art of Animation is so fun and gorgeous, and I'm going to be doing a review and kind of tour of that resort as well. So that is to come on the channel, or if it's live already, I will link it down below. But if you are staying here and you already have it booked and you would like to see how I set up the room and how it kind of looked and the layout and everything, I will link my video right over here that has my Caribbean Beach kind of room tour setup style video, and I will see you right over there. See you guys, bye.